Hello, welcome to Tarot with Tanya. This is 7 cards for 7 days. We are looking at the week of Monday, July 7th to Sunday, July 13th. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome. If you're here for the first time, welcome back if you've been here before. I will talk some about the astrology. We have a pretty big shift going on right now. And then we have a full moon coming up too. And then I'll look at the cards. I'm using the Gustav Klimt deck. And then we'll finish with a Tree Keeper's Oracle card. So as always, please take it through your own filter. What resonates for you, keep. What doesn't, just let go, because it's a reading for the collective. And we start our week with the moon in Sagittarius. Philosophical rules, international travel, higher education, law, things like that. So fiery moon. I think idealistic in a way, but also practical at the same time. In terms of maybe practical isn't the word, maybe realistic is a better one. And then we'll go through the moon in Capricorn, and that's when we have that full moon on July 10. And Capricorn, opposite of Cancer, of course, and it is a serious sign. It likes to accomplish things. It's business oriented, protective, can be a father figure. Right now, you know, Cancer is feminine. Capricorn is also feminine. You got water in Cancer, earth in Capricorn. And it's like we need to balance between the emotional and the practical in a way with this energy. And you know, when you hit a full moon, it's a culmination of what's been building from the last full moon. So big energies on Wednesday with that. And we also then would have Mercury conjunct the Leo point of Avatar. And, you know, I'm going to quote an astrologer here. She said that she believes that great revelations are possible on this point as it shines the light of truth on all. So there may be revelations from that. We'll see what happens. Of course, when you get that full moon, it can be revealing, as she said. Can also be lunacy, so hopefully it will be more on the revealing side with that. Anyway, back to the moons, and we'll end the week with the moon in Aquarius on Sunday. By the evening, it's moved into Pisces. So we go from the fire to the earth to the air and then to the water by Sunday evening here in the States anyway. And on Monday, also, this is the other big event of the week, you have Uranus entering Gemini, and it will be there temporarily till about November 9th. And we also have Venus trine Pluto. So Uranus will retrograde back into Taurus for a bit, and then next year it's going to move into Gemini and stay there for, I think it's about 7 years. So that's a big shift. When that happens, it's going to give us our first taste of what this might be like, because, you know, things repeat in a way, but never exactly the same. And for the United States, Uranus, well, this was the whole world because it was in Gemini during World War II. Now, that's not me or anybody else predicting war in, you know, this active sense, but there are energies that are going to be restless. It could be volatile. It could be sudden changes of alliances, trade disruptions, massive immigration, dissolving the notion of borders. It could also relate to brilliance, a genius intuition, new tech, UFOs, the need for freedom, progress. These are all connected to Uranus, which rules Aquarius, so you may recognize some of those domains there as well for Aquarius. So it really is a big mover and shaker. It's a big outer planet, and it will have an effect. Maybe you're already feeling it to some degree, but it is definitely happening. So in terms of the Venus trining Pluto part, that's going to bring up strong feelings. Venus, the feelings, one astrologer calls her our social director. But Pluto is intense and transformative, so you could have surfacing emotions that need to be purged. They need to be released, to look at love as being transformative. That's the Venus-Pluto combination. Values around our money could change. Venus ruling those values, and then Pluto having a big transformative effect potentially. And there could be upheavals in partnerships. That makes sense, right? Venus and Pluto. All right, so like I said, intense week with particularly Uranus moving into Gemini and Capricorn full moon. All right, so what do our cards say? They're interesting this week. There is a pair in here, King and Queen, and that just feels like the dominant energy. And again, with the Pluto and Venus trine, that kind of makes sense to me as well. I mean, it occurs later in the week, but I feel like that energy is there. So we begin with the Four of Wands, and here it looks like a mother and child, mother embracing the child. That could be a reason to celebrate. Celebration is often associated with this card. Four, connected to the Emperor, to a feeling of strength and security. Fire, our intuition, not our intuition, our instinct rather. Water is intuition, fire is instinct, just knowing what to do. And in a way, though it's a gentle embrace here, that's part of the mother's instinct, right? Keeping things stable, steady, loving. And Tuesday, we switch gears. We are still on masculine energy with swords, air. So, Ten of Swords, if you know the movie Thelma and Louise, it always reminds me of the moment they're being chased and they just decide to go over the cliff. There's no going back. This card has a similar energy for me. Something has to change. There's just no going back. It's mental. It's a thought. Doesn't necessarily have to be an action. But something needs to end. Something needs to be cleared out so that something can be reborn in that one energy. And this, of course, would be connected to the Wheel of Fortune. So letting change happen, embracing change, and not being afraid of it. Wednesday, we are in the earth energy, so now we're switching over to the feminine. And of course, you have a feminine figure here. And the Five of Pentacles, fives are going to be connected to the Hierophant, and in some way, they're all human lessons. What is it that we have to learn about our resources? It can literally be money. It can be other kinds of resources. How are we using our time and energy? How do we manage what we have? It could even be about gratitude. Are we grateful for what we have? So in this one, the five can be a pinched off kind of energy. That's what comes to me right now, like constricted in some way. And when it gets to the six, the next in the sequence, it will open up more. But here there's a feeling of maybe I don't have enough. So watch for that. And, that's 7. That's close to that Capricorn full moon. And, you know, Capricorn can have us looking at what our resources are and do we have enough. Changes a lot by Thursday. We stay with the feminine energy, but now it is the cup. So it's water, and this is love. Here, of course, you see it looks like a romantic couple. I tend to associate it more with self-love, and this being the Hyros Gamos, the interior marriage, the balancing of one's own masculine and feminine, which helps, you know, whatever your gender is or your gender identification, you know, to love what we see as different than ourselves comes from a really strong base of self-love. So a reminder on Thursday to be loving and kind toward the self to help us with our loving kindness toward others. On Friday, here is the first royal card, and as I mentioned, we have a king and a queen. And our king is of wands, so is our queen, just to give you a heads up on that. And, you know, I mentioned at the beginning, since we started the week with the 4 of wands, that wands relate to instinct. So this is a king. Kings are going to be the most powerful, the most masterful, and direct. I mean, the feminine has power too, obviously, but this might be a more direct execution of that power. And that would be just knowing what to do, not even thinking about it, just, you know, it's there, you do it. And at this point, with a lot of practice, so that makes the effort even better, more effective. You know, on the darker side, it can be like, I want my way, and I can run roughshod over you to get it. This guy, I mean, often you'll see the King of Wands on a horse, charging forward. This guy's a little bit more composed, perhaps more calculating, but the energy can be used, manifested. Then his counterpart, Queen of Wands. Now her coloring, I'm just going to bring him up again for a moment. You see how she's already softer. So she's going to be a feminine because of Queen, but with a masculine energy because of the fire, the wands. So she might be in a little bit more balanced place in how she expresses that energy. She has, again, that instinct that is very strong, but might be a bit more tempered. It's interesting because she has faces around her. It makes me think about previous warriors. It's almost like, yes, I am this feminine expression of this fiery energy, and it's a little toned down, but don't mess with me because in the background, all these warriors are there so that she can use that energy if she needs to. And all of the kings and queens can be quite expressive and, again, masterful in their use of energy. So that was our Saturday, Friday and Saturday with that pair. And then we end the week with the one major that came up, and that is a number 15, which makes it a 6. So it's going to be related to the lovers, but it is the devil. And I feel like this came up recently. Maybe it was in personal reading. I can't remember now. But that devil is just so strange. A very mythical creature looking picture here. And, you know, with this really oddly rectangular mouth. And these women, 2 look young, 1 looks like an old crone. Often in this one you will see the devil and then a traditional male-female type couple chained to that. So it does speak to our issues about relationships, about how we treat one another, about how we can have the potential to laugh at things that bedevil us. Where's that sense of humor? The dark side, you know, can be addictions, treating people poorly, control issues, things like that. But I encourage you to use it as a sense of humor and playfulness. So again, that was our Sunday. So we begin our week with a fiery, celebratory Four of Wands, the good instinct, letting something go on Tuesday. Wednesday, maybe really looking at what are our resources, what lessons do we need to learn around those. A lot of love coming in on Thursday. Self-love is a great basis for loving conditions in our lives. And then the pair on Friday and Saturday of the King and Queen of Wands. So a real balancing of the masculine and feminine energies expressively. And then that, hopefully having a wonderful sense of humor, laughing at whatever bedevils you on Sunday. All right, and then to wrap up, we have our Tree Keepers Oracle card, and this week, Keeper of Fairy Tales 21 is our card. I just think these are so beautiful. I love the detail. I love the whimsy. Wonderful dragons, fairies, flowers, all kinds of creatures. Keeper of fairy tales. Before there were humans, there were stories. The trees told them to each other in a language the moon taught them. Their favorite stories were fairy tales, and they've been inspiring humans to write and tell them since the first human walked into a forest. But fairy tales are special. Like the rings inside a tree, they hold secrets to the past and premonitions of the future. A book isn't simple paper and glue, it's a portal. And a fairy tale? It's like a magic carpet ride through the gates of myth. Indulge them, study them, live them. For if you seek a fairy tale with all your heart, someday you'll become one. And I love tales. I love fairy tales. Grew up watching fractured fairy tales. That certainly gives away my age. And still think about nursery rhymes and the secrets that they hold. So what's your fairy tale? Think about that. Let me know if you think you'd like to. Wishing you the best possible 7 days, beloveds. I will see you again then. Please reach out if you'd like a personal reading or you have any questions about it or questions about any of this metaphysical stuff that I might be able to help with. And please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you soon.